where we're going to finish up with. We want to talk about attitudes. The last thing I talked about the other day was compliancy, and we talked about low ball techniques and things like that. Okay, we're going to talk about two subjects now. One subject is attitudes, how attitudes are formed, and then we're going to talk about prejudice. All right, so attitudes. What is your attitude about? I guess we can also say, what is your thinking about? What do you value? All of those words would be synonymous with attitudes. What's an attitude? It's a learned tendency to respond to people, objects, or institutions in a positive or negative way. And it's based on belief, emotions, and actions. So, we're not going to have a discussion about this, but if I said, what is your attitude about abortion? I could use the word what? View. What's your attitude or your view about Obama? What's your attitude or view about the Affordable Care Act? What's your attitude or view about religion? And go on and on about that, right? That's your attitude, how you view these different things. Another word would be, what is your belief about this? What are your beliefs? And these beliefs are based on what you think a belief, what you feel about it, or an action. The more intense your belief is, the more intense your emotion is, the more intense the action is, the more intense what the attitude is. So, if you're driving to church one day, okay, and you see somebody on the side of the road and their car broke down, it's kind of raining out and everything, and maybe this weekend it's kind of sleeting, okay, and they're looking at you and they're going like this, okay, I need some help, and you drive right by them, probably splash them as well, because you've got to get to church on time. Yeah, I got to get to church on time. It's not good to stop. But if your religious view is to help others and to be good to others, and that's your belief, and that way, but you splash this person as you go by them because you got to get to church on time, I strongly wonder how strong that attitude is that you have of helping other people. Okay, you may have a belief, but your feeling may not be there, and obviously your action isn't there. Because if you really believed this, and there was a strong attitude of yours to help people, that you'd probably stop, even though it's raining or sleeting. Do you understand what I'm saying about this? Sometimes people talk a good show, okay, but they don't back it up with action. That's there. The stronger the attitude you have, then you're going to have a congruency between your belief, emotion, and action. Okay? So how are your attitudes formed? Well, direct contact, right? You have a direct contact with what? Religion. That's there. Or politics. And you keep talking to people about it over and over and over again, then that becomes your belief, whatever that is. Whether it be about being a Republican or a Democrat or liberal or conservative or religious or not religious, okay? You learn these attitudes, one, through direct contact with specific people, maybe through what's called group membership. You and your friends, think about you and your friends. Think about them right now. Do they have similar attitudes than you do? You know what? We find we form groups of people and our friends have similar attitudes we have. Very few of you have groups of friends who have different values and attitudes. A lot of conflict there. A lot of really interesting discussions, though, I think. Okay? But most of the time, it's going to be pulled together, okay, with that group membership. The biggest influence on your attitudes were your parents, right? Were absolutely your parents. Did you know that there's one magazine that has successfully predicted who will be elected president in all of their years of existence? And that one magazine was called, I think it's called the Scholastic Reader or the Weekly Reader. And what it is was that little magazine some of you got when you were in 4th or 5th grade, okay? And it was a little magazine on a weekly basis that you got about current events. In September of every year, they have all the students in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade who take that little magazine, okay, vote on who they think is going to be president. Remember, presidential elections are, the first Tuesday in November. But they have the kids vote in September, and they vote on it. They have successfully predicted each election. Why? Because children reflect their parents' attitudes. Okay? Your parents' attitudes were your attitudes when you were younger, because that's all you have to listen to. When Bush defeated Gore in that contested election, okay, the children of the United States predicted Bush would defeat Gore, but Gore would win the popular vote. And when the newspapers in the U.S. got a hold of that, they went, the Weekly Reader's finally going to be wrong. That hasn't happened in X number of years. That can't happen. But what happened? It did happen, didn't it? Because Gore won the popular vote and Bush won the Electoral College in terms of states that are there. So think about your values, your attitudes. We're going to be talking about prejudice here in a couple of minutes. Your prejudices were learned basically from your parents. Okay? What they said to you, you heard over and over again. They became your views and attitudes. But as we got older, right, then maybe our group membership might have been through our religious groups. And that became part of your attitude that may have strengthened your parents' views or changed those views that are there. Okay? Mass media had an influence on you, right? Constantly bombarded by television programs, movies, video games, the internet now, okay? Over and over and over again. That becomes part of your attitude formation. And then the last one about how your attitudes and values are formed is through chance conditioning. Maybe you sat down next to somebody in this class, okay, and you never liked those people, fill in the blank, whoever those people are, okay, and you never really liked them because, why? You were raised by a group of parents and your group membership and your subculture always told you about those people. But you happen to sit down next to somebody in this class and you chatted with them, and then you begin to think, well, you know, those people really aren't that way. So chance conditioning sometimes can just change your attitudes and your views. By the way, when I mean those people, I'm going to say that a lot today, you fill in the blank. It could be an ethnic group, it could be a gender, it could be an age, you name it, okay? But there's a tendency with prejudice, we have prejudice against those people. I'll do this because I haven't done this in a long time. Still with me? Okay, remember we did that a long time ago? All right, so attitudes, then as we get older, are going to be influenced by our reference groups. Who are the people we're around? Your good friends. Who are the people that you're around? Your reference groups. What does my group think about? Now, your group could be based on your religion, on your socioeconomic class, an area of the city, your profession, whatever it may be, but that's your reference group. And usually we stick with our reference groups. Okay? And our reference groups now will increase, okay, our attitude formations. Okay? Unless you keep an open mind and you allow yourself what? To look at other views that are here. It seems to me we live in a very polarized country right now, and it's just getting worse. Okay? It just seems to be getting worse. I think that social media and the internet has made it worse. Why? Because it's very easy for us to join a reference group and stay with that reference group. If you want to talk about politics, you can listen to AM radio, AM talk shows, or just watch Fox News for your conservative views. Or what you can do is you can listen to or watch MNBC, okay, or get online and find various liberal groups that are there that just what? Back up your views. And all of those people have very biased views. All they do is present one side. And what winds up happening is that we start choosing groups that we're comfortable with, and we don't go out and experience other people's views or attitudes that are there. It's one thing good about college. We're supposed to be giving you all kinds of different views and allow you people to make up your minds about these different things. Okay? Can you be persuaded to change your attitudes and views? Please say yes. Right? Yes, you can. How is this done? It's done through advertising. Okay? We'll do that very easily. Politics and political persuasions will try to get you to do that as well. And what you do is you constantly bombard people with certain views, programs, telling them that this is fact, 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 fact over and over again. Or separate you out from your reference groups and then give you new views that are there. Right? Isn't that what advertisers do this all the time for us, to try to make money from us? The group that has had the greatest influence on my attitudes is what? On your beliefs, is it your parents, your peers, the media, religion, extended family, school, or something I don't have listed there? This is the greatest. I do know that all of these had an influence on you, but which one would be the greatest influence on you? By the way, the views say that when you're a child, okay, your views are going to be your parental views. When you get to be into 6th, 7th, 8th grade, your friends in the media have a greater influence on you. Religion always has a tract in there throughout, depending upon how much you go, how much influence they have on you. Then as you get older, what winds up happening, it's going to be that your vocation and then your reference groups, so the people you're around, will have an influence on you. You're much more progressive or liberal in your teens and your 20s. Then as you get older, you become more conservative. And the perfect example of that would be either your parents or your grandparents who were baby boomers. The baby boomers were born from 1946 to 64. They were the 60s people, the very liberal hippies and the 60s people. They were very liberal in those years, but as they've gotten older, they've become much more conservative over the years. So there's research to back that up. And your parents, absolutely true, right? They've had the greatest influence on your attitudes and values. Let's talk about one other aspect about attitudes, and I'm going to give you a term to use, and you can throw this around this weekend. Cognitive dissonance theory. Cognitive dissonance. Contradicting or clashing thoughts cause discomfort. All right, that's the first part of it, so think about that. Contradicting or clashing thoughts cause discomfort, and we have a need for consistency in our thoughts and perceptions. Ooh, remember that? When we covered perception and we covered perceptual consistencies? Where your brain doesn't like change. Your brain just likes to keep the world as consistent, as constant as possible. Okay. Contradiction or clashing thoughts causes you discomfort. All right, so here we go. Let me give you an example. You just bought yourself a brand new Ford 150 pick-em-up truck. And this is one of these trucks that you've wanted to have for years. And you finally saved up your money and you got one. Okay, it's a bright red one, or whatever it is. Okay, and you drive it home to show your friends, your buddies. Okay, and you pull up and you go, "Whoa, man, look at the car I got." Okay, and your buddies go, "Wow, dude, I really like that truck. That's great. This is cool. Yeah, Ford. I've always wanted a Ford. It's great." And one of your friends says, "I hate to tell you this, but did you see the news today?" Okay, the news, by the way, I'm making this up. This is not true. The news had a report today that said that Ford trucks, really, Consumer Reports said that it's one of the worst trucks ever made. Okay, it breaks down a lot. The tires blow out at high speeds. You know, the engine block cracks when it gets really cold. And you know what Ford stands for, don't you? Fix or repair daily. Okay. Come on. Okay, and you're going, "No, but this is the most incredible car I've ever bought in my life." And he's going, "Yeah, but these are facts, man." Okay? So contradicting or clashing thoughts cause you discomfort. And what winds up happening is, "I just spent all this money on this truck. It can't be wrong. You're not right." And you get what? Irrational. Okay, and use what's called cognitive dissonance, and you say to your friend, "You know what? Consumer Reports. Oh yeah, well I read somewhere that General Motors owns Consumer Reports. So that's why they did that. That's not a right thing, fix or repair daily. You're just, I know what it is. You're just jealous. You're jealous. I've got a new red pick-em-up truck and you don't. The hell with you. I'm not giving you a ride anymore." So what winds up happening, we have dissonance. And the dissonance, right, the way we think, cognitive dissonance, makes us uncomfortable, so we begin to what? Get defensive, lie to ourselves, and refuse to believe the truth. All right, smokers, where are you? Who smokes cigarettes? Don't tell me. Okay, we only make up about 21% of the general population now in the U.S. It's really dwindled. Have you ever seen the research on this and what it does to your life? Okay, how many years it takes off? Did you ever see that commercial with a person is smoking a cigarette right here because everything else is, on the way to cancer, and they go, you don't smoke. Okay. You ever see a black lung? Do you ever realize what the damage is doing to you and people around you through secondhand smoke? My gosh, the research is there. Yeah, so? So what? Okay, do you know my uncle? My uncle smoked 3 packs of cigarettes for 40 years. Never had cancer. Died in his sleep. So there. Stupid research. You don't smoke, don't smoke. Do you ever see smokers this weekend when it gets really cold out and it's icy outside of buildings outside? They're smoking there, it's snowing and hailing out and they're all cold. But it's okay to have a cigarette because I need my cigarettes. Got to have my cigarettes. Important to have them. Cognitive dissonance. It's not good for you, right? But we make up what? Rationale that it's okay. Please don't yell at me if you're a smoker. I'm just giving you the facts that are here. So now you have a term to use with your friends this weekend. When they start what? Becoming very defensive and defending a view. By the way, let's do politics again. People that super liberals, the far left and the far right do this all the time. Okay? They refuse, okay, to look at facts that may contradict what their views are. They just refuse to look at this stuff. Cognitive dissonance. Let's talk a little bit more about how do you persuade people to change. Hey, here's an issue throughout the world. Many people across the world join gangs, cults, or terrorist organizations and other social groups that are not endorsed by society. What do you think is the primary reason people join these groups? The people who join are mentally ill in some way. The leader of a group is very persuasive and brainwash them. They don't have anything else to go, anywhere else to go. People need to feel a part of something. They believe in what the group really stands for. What I want to get into a little bit here is how do you persuade someone to change their attitudes and maybe join one of these groups? So 51% of you say people need to feel part of something. The leader of the group is very good. By the way, all of these answers are probably pretty accurate.
Is this for a point?
Excuse me?
Is this for a video?
Is this for a point? No, this is not for a point. Because you were going to say, I didn't get a chance to write that, right? No, this is not for a point. Don't worry about it. If you didn't have a chance enough to do it, it's not for a point. Let's talk about forced attitude change. We used to call it brainwashing. Did you ever hear that term? Brainwashing? Well, your brain doesn't get washed, okay? But how do we change your attitudes? How can I force you to change your attitudes? And what I'm going to do is, some of you went to see that lecture I gave on terrorists and how do people become terrorists. I'm not going to talk about terrorists now, but I'm just going to talk about cults and how cults can change people's attitudes. And they do it very easily. By the way, you don't have to be mentally ill to join one of these groups. There's a whole process that goes on. It's called the recruitment process and the conversion process. And what I'm going to do is tell you how a specific group, a cult, did this in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay? In the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay? How do they do this? Well, first they go out and they recruit. This particular group went to shopping centers, sporting events, college campuses, malls, grocery stores, and started wandering around. So let's just make up a story. Let's just say Steve, me, okay? In order to be recruited by these people, you need to have a little bit of wonder about the world. You may need to be just a little bit confused about what's going on in your life, and you wonder about stuff a little bit, and you're not real sure about stuff. So now, brother, I'm not saying I'm psychologically imbalanced or anything like that. I'm just saying I have some questions about life. So let's just say I just went through a divorce, okay? And I'm not feeling that good, but you know what? The divorce was really pretty good. It's about time the relationship was over with. It's really, in the long run, it's going to be for the best. So I'm not super depressed by it, but it is a change in my life. So there I am walking through my local Kroger or Tom Thumb, okay? And I'm going down with my little buggy down the aisle there, and I go to grab my little breakfast cereal, and I pull out some Cheerios. And then I see out of the corner of my eye this very attractive woman comes up to me, reaches for Cheerios as well, puts it in her basket, and looks at me and says, gosh, she says, what are two adults buying Cheerios? She says, I don't think people buy Cheerios anymore. Kids buy Cheerios. And I go, yeah, I guess. I've always liked Cheerios. She says, well, so have I. And she just starts talking to me. And finally she says, well, it was great talking to you. And she leaves. And I'm going, well, that was pretty cool. Maybe, I've been married for all these years, got divorced. Maybe I still have it. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so I go down the aisle, go up the next aisle, come up the next aisle. There she is again. She goes, oh, we meet again. I go, yeah. She says, you know what? We just had a brief discussion. I really enjoyed talking to you. I said, well, I enjoyed talking to you as well. She says, do you live around here? I said, yeah. She said, oh, this is a really nice neighborhood. I'm visiting a friend. And she's just talking to me and stuff. And she says, well, good to talk to you again. And she leaves. Now I'm thinking, well, maybe I should have gotten her number. I don't know. I've been married for 80 years, and I don't even know how to do this anymore. Okay, we come back the other way, and there she is again. Okay, and she says to me, you know what? I really had a good conversation with you, but don't think of me as being forward or anything. But, I really liked you. I just want to give you my card, and maybe sometimes we can get together for a cup of coffee or something. And I go, oh, okay. Thank you. And I take the card and I go home, and I don't rush to the phone right away to call her, but I wait about 10 minutes. No. Okay? I wait a little bit longer, maybe the next day, give her a call. By the way, you know what she's doing, right? She went from that grocery store to the next grocery store to the next grocery store. We meet for coffee, and we're talking and stuff. We get to know each other. She says goodbye, and then we meet again for coffee. What she's doing is what? Proverbial, throwing the hook out there. Okay? Now, she hasn't caught me yet, but she is recruiting me. That's there. Okay? We meet again. We may go to dinner. Now, I'm interested in her. She's making believe she's interested in me. And then she says to me, you know what? I'm having a party. My friends and I are having a party. I told you I'm staying with this friend here for a while. And you know what? Now, here's the key word. I want you to come because people at this party are just like us. Did you hear what I said? They're just like us. So what she's implying is that you're one of us. And you like me, I like you. This is going to be a good group of people we're going to get together. I'm not lonely, but then again, I really don't see that many people. So I go, okay, why not? So I show up. And you know what? There is a good group of people there. I'm trying to see her, but she's flirting around all over the place. But I'm meeting other people there. And it is kind of fun. Because these people, by the way, who are doing the recruiting are very extroverted. Okay, they're very convincing. They're very manipulative. They know how to throw parties. They know how to introduce people. Okay, and they're doing it really well. This was fun. So I leave and go, this was fun. And she gives me a big hug when I leave. She says, well, I'm glad you can come. Did you meet some people? I said, you met a lot of people. She said, great. That's good. Okay, she sends me a couple of emails and texts as we go on in the weeks. And finally she says, come to another party. And I go to another party. Same group of people there. We have a grand old time. Then she says to me, you know what? I like you a lot, but I need to tell you, I do have a relationship that's going on, but it's kind of been fun. Haven't you met a bunch of people that you like? Don't you feel part of this group? Underline part of this group once again. I go, yeah, it's been fun. So she then says to me, well, good. You know what? We get together with a group of people. This is not a party, but we get together in the basement of this church. Now, Don, I want you thinking that it's a church group. We just kind of rent space that's there, and I wonder if you just want to come. We meet on Wednesday nights and Saturday afternoons, and why don't you just come sometime? I go, oh man, I'm not into organized religion. Let me tell you, this is not organized religion. She says, we just get together and we do things for the community. Sometimes we do Habitat for Humanity, you know, we do North Texas Food Bank. We do many, many different things. Why don't you just come? All right, I'll go. So I go, and you know what it is? It's a good group of people, and we start talking about the world. And about how the world has changed so much. You can't trust people anymore. You can't let your kids just run out in the streets anymore. How there's a real loss in ethics and values in this country. How polarized the country is. By the way, can't you all agree to that? Right, this is part of it. Can't you all agree to that? So yeah, it's in there. They got me. All right, I'm biting now. So we go do Habitat for Humanity. Here's another part. And then they say, you know what? In order to do Habitat for Humanity, we all need to chip in some money. Okay? Chip in some money. Okay? Now, once you start chipping in money or going to the groups and devoting your time, what you're now doing is making a commitment to the group. Okay? That's where I'm biting now. Okay? I'm making a commitment to the group to go because I like it, and I'm giving you some of my money. So we're doing these different things that are there, and I'm going, you know, I'm going on Wednesday, maybe not Wednesday and Saturday, but one of those days, and I'm really enjoying this, getting to know people, feeling really part of a group, like maybe we really are doing something in the world and changing things. And that's what the speakers are talking about. Then they're going to do this big weekend retreat. By the way, this goes on for months. This isn't just a couple of weeks. This is months worth of this stuff. Then the same woman is up there. She seems to be one of the leaders of the group. Okay, I no longer have any romantic interest in her because she's gone. Okay, but I enjoy the group that's there, and I'm devoting my time and my money to the group. Then she says, you know, we're going to go away for a weekend retreat. And we're away on this weekend retreat. We have this speaker coming in. The speaker is going to be a really sharp speaker. It's going to talk about different things. It's going to cost us all about $200 for food. We're going to chip in while we're there. We're going to do various activities when we're out there. Should be fun. You want to go? Yeah, okay, I'll go. Okay, so I go with about another 40 or 50 other people. Now we're in the conversion part. Okay, so now we're out there. Hey, and you know what? You get older, you don't stay up to midnight so much anymore. You go to bed around 9 or 10. But this group is going, and it's pushing, and it's going, and we're talking and singing and watching movies and doing all kinds of different things. I'm getting kind of tired, so is everybody else. We're waiting for this speaker to come, but he doesn't come until like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. Remember when I talked with you about altered states of consciousness? Okay, about how sometimes when you're in an altered state, you become more suggestible. This group isn't giving us any drugs or alcohol or anything, okay? But they're getting us real tired, okay? So here comes this charismatic leader. This guy walks in and he shakes everybody's hand, looks at everybody in the eye and says, I'm here to talk with you all about a subject that's dear to, I know, all of us hearts, because all of us are in together with this. We are one group trying to change the world, and that's what you've all been doing. And I'm going around the country trying to get people to change, because you know what? Some people might even say we're a cult, but don't you believe them that we're a cult. All we are spiritual people trying to come together to change the world. And let me tell you how we're going to do this. And he goes on, gives us his big spiel of how we're going to change and how he's also raising money to build this place for everybody to go to educate the world, because we want to start one small group at a time, because that's how revolutions and thoughts change. And if you want to help me, I hope you can all reach into your pockets and pull out as much money as you can. Well, you know, I was tired, I'm exhausted. You know, but man, this guy is really talking about everything I've thought about. This is incredible. So I reach in, and by the way, if you know me, I'm pretty cheap. Instead of pulling out $5, I pull out $50. And for me to give $50, boy, oh boy, that's a big thing for me. When you give more time, when you give more energy, when you give more money, then you start really what? Connecting with the group and thinking that this is my group and my people that's there. So then we all go home, and then they're asking us to come not just 2 times a week, but maybe 4 times a week. And we're there, and we're talking, and we're reading this guy's books and everything else. Now I'm becoming indoctrinated to it. Now, at this point, what's happening is that they're going to now start monitoring me and making sure that I'm coming every night. If I'm not coming every night, someone's going to call me, they'll pick me up, they'll talk with me, okay? They're giving me complete information to control my thoughts and my emotions. They're getting me to give more and more money. And then it comes to the point they say, you know what? And if this is truly going to change the world, we can't tell many people about this. If we tell other people about this, okay, then they'll think that we're some weird group that's here. Are we a weird group? Look at this. Aren't you having a good time? Don't you believe in what we're doing? Yes, I do. Now, by the way, I'm doing this in 15 minutes, right? This is a process that took about a year to a year and a half to get people to convert. But at this point, what you're doing is you're constantly bombarding, you're watching movies and videos and giving money and time and energy. And then what happens is that it comes to a point where they say to you, are you with us or against us? You ready? So what was the studies we just did? The obediency studies, conformity studies, right? We talked about that, social roles. All of this comes into play. Now they say to me, are you ready really to join us? Because if you're ready to join us, we are all moving. We're going to go, we have bought some land, okay? And if you want, okay, you can devote as much time and energy and money as you want to do this. And lots of people from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, once this group purchased this land outside of Waco, Texas, okay, people then all started moving down there, okay? Do you know the story of David Koresh, okay, and what happened outside of Waco when he took the cult down there? Is this way past your history years? Okay, you don't remember this? Okay. David Koresh did this in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He sent out all of these very attractive people to recruit. Okay, he was the charismatic speaker that came. He moved all of these people down here. He believed that God was talking to him and giving him the new book of Revelations that were there. He was probably a paranoid psychotic. Remember I talked about him in that way. And what wound up happening, there was we never know how it really started, but the Americans back on ATF was there, and somebody shot first, and before you know it, that whole compound, the Branch Davidians, okay, went up in fire, okay, and many people died, and on and on. But this was how this cult recruited in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, okay? And it's not too difficult to do, to change someone's attitudes and values, to get them to become part of a cult, a terrorist group, or anything else. Okay? So watch yourself out there. These people around.
Is he still alive?
Oh no, he died in all of that. When that whole compound went up in fire, because he had all kinds of munitions there, and some people say he set the fire. Other people believe that the federal agents hit the munitions and blew them up. Some people think that the federal government actually went in and set the fire. There's all kinds of controversy about that. But my guess is this man wasn't stable, okay? And he went up in the fire and everything else was killed through it. And so were a lot of other people. Go on YouTube. You go see all this stuff.
Isn't there a guy that's in prison now that has
Oh, yeah, the polygamist out in West Texas. Yeah, I mean, they arrested him, right? Remember that? That was a cult. How about the people who believed when that comet was coming across the sky that there was aliens in a spaceship behind there, and if they all died together, their souls then would go up with the aliens? Or how about Jim Jones that took all the people from the San Francisco, Oakland area down to South America somewhere, and then they all took Kool-Aid. Did you ever hear that statement? Don't take the Kool-Aid? Well, that's where that came from. It was poisoned Kool-Aid, and he killed hundreds of people that were there who were part of his cult that was there. Or the Japanese cult that killed so many people on the Savin gas in Japan many years ago. All kinds of cults that are out there. New subject. You still with me? Come on, we're getting to the end. This is the last topic. Hang in there. Have you ever experienced bias? Have you ever experienced prejudice? Okay. Now, I can say that we do know, obviously, for religious bias, we know for ethnic bias or racial bias, but this bias can be done for all kinds of different things. Bias just because you are under 21 years old. Do you ever drive a car after 2 a.m. in the morning and you're under 21? Okay, how many times you get stopped by the police? Because you just look like you're about ready to have some trouble. That's there. I mean, bias can be experienced by many, many different people. What do we got? Yeah, 71% of you have. Let's talk about bias, or another word would be prejudice. What is prejudice? Prejudgment, where you prejudge somebody. You don't even know them, but you already have an attitude about them, a belief about those people. Prejudge them. It's a negative emotional attitude held against members of a particular group of people. This is those people. Okay? Those people, fill in the blank once again, ethnic groups, which would also be racial groups, religious groups, right? Age. We can talk about age. We can talk about gender. Okay? We can talk about community college students. We can be biased against them. Okay? We can be biased about lots of different people. We'll hold a prejudice, a prejudgment against those people. There are different elements about prejudice. One is called scapegoating. Scapegoating is just what it says it is. You blame your issues on those people. If those people just weren't around, my life would be better. This country would be better off without those people. Whatever it would be. You scapegoat. You blame someone else for your issues or for your group's issues that are there. Another element is called personal prejudice. Outgroups are a threat to an individual. This is your own personal prejudice that you have against a group. Those people. It's your personal views about those people, whoever they may be. Those liberals, those conservatives, those Aggies, those Austin people, those, I don't know, okay? Those are all different groups who we don't like. It's your own personal prejudice. Everybody got this? Can I go on? All right. There's what's called group prejudice, which is group conformity. This is you and your friends hanging out together, and you talk about those people. This is the jokes you tell about those people. Come on, you know those jokes that you and your friends tell about those people that are there. The stereotypical jokes that are there. And you all stand together and you go, you know, if those people weren't around. So your attitudes are based on that reference group, which is group types of prejudice. Come on, you see that happening. Remember in high school when you had different groups all over the place? They all would stand together and glare at each other. Okay? At this college, you see different ethnic groups together in different corners that are there. Go anywhere, to clubs, go to wherever you go out, you'll see different groups of people hanging together. Okay? There's safety in numbers that are there. Another element of prejudice is called ethnocentrism, or ethnocentric, which is my group is the best group. And what we do is better than what those people do. For many years, maybe 5 or 6 years, every Maymester, we used to do groups, and we took classes we went to Italy for about 4 or 5 years, went to Costa Rica for a few years, and we took classes of people. And these classes were based on psychology and sociology. And what we would study is prejudice and who you are, and a lot of different issues that had to do with who you are, getting to know yourself, and you had to get along with other groups. And when we went to Italy or Costa Rica, we met with other college students and other groups, people who lived there. So it was a great time that we had. But ethnocentric was very visible. We used to point this out to the students. When we were in Italy, after about 3 days, the students would begin to say things like, so all I got here is Italian food. When are we going to eat something other than Italian food? This is Italy, okay? And when we got to a city that actually had a McDonald's in it, I would have to get off the bus last, because if I got off the bus first, I got ran over, okay? Because I can't wait. I haven't had McDonald's in 3 days. I need to go to McDonald's. Then when we got to McDonald's, if you've been to Europe, they don't use ice that often. So what winds up happening, people would get cups of Coca-Cola. Now, by the way, you get more Coca-Cola, but you don't have ice in it. And it was kind of like, what's the deal with these people? They don't serve you ice. In the U.S., we have ice. We're better than these people. What's this unisex bathrooms that they have? What's the deal with that? What do you mean I got to pay a euro to go to the bathroom? What do you mean there's a hole in the floor and I'm supposed to go to the bathroom in that floor and pay for somebody to do this? What's with these people? They're wrong. I can't wait to get back to the U.S. where we do it correctly. We do it correctly. It's just different cultures and ethnic groups do things differently, right? But we get this pounding on our chest that our group does it better than those people. It's called ethnocentric, okay? Let me stop for a second and just say, I don't know if we have what's called us versus them mentality based on stereotypical thinking. It's us. Us. We're more important and them. Those people are wrong. The basis of all wars, in terms of attitudes, it's based on us versus them thinking. My God is better than your God, therefore I'll kill you. That's a ridiculous statement, isn't it? But how many wars have been fought based on religious views? How many wars are being fought now based on that? Right? And what winds up happening is we begin to dehumanize the other group. If you've ever been in the service, if you're going to go fight somebody or kill somebody, you better dehumanize the other group. Those people are wrong, so we give them what? Slurs, ethnic slurs, religious slurs, to dehumanize them. They're not like us. So a big part of prejudice is dehumanizing the other person and us versus them thinking. I hope you ask, good gosh, the world is full of prejudice, isn't it? Well, how do we reduce prejudice? By the way, this is one of the last slides, right? Yay! How to reduce prejudice? Equal status contact. You need to be sitting next to, working beside, living next door, to recognize that it's not us versus them, that you're no better than those people. They're not inferior to you. They're just like you. Equal status contact. And the more you get to talk to those people and get to know those people, the better off you're going to be and the less prejudice you're going to have, because then you treat them as what? As your equals. Superordinate goals, if you get groups of people, diverse groups of people working together on an overwhelming goal, what happens? People learn to work together to reach that goal, prejudice drops off. And I'll have an example of that in a second. And if you develop mutual interdependence, which means in order for me to succeed, I have to help you. In order for you to succeed, okay, then you need to help me. Mutual interdependence, that's there. Have you ever seen a movie called The Titans? What's the name of that movie? Remember the Titans, okay? Ancient history again, okay? In the 1970s, Dallas-Fort Worth, where the schools were still segregated, okay? And in the 1970s, we had forced busing, okay? So we had people being forced busing all over the place. And if you went to TJ or White or Hillcrest, all of these schools around here in the Dallas ISD, as they began to bus around, what happened? We had different ethnic groups come into different groups. If you went into the hallways, in the beginning of that school year, there was a lot of animosity and a lot of fights. Okay? Hispanics were over here, the blacks were over here, the whites were over here. Everybody was glaring at each other. Okay? Lots of fights, lots of arguments that went on during that time. There were two groups, though, in those schools, okay, that seemed to get along the best. They were the band and the sports teams. Why did they get along? By the way, in the beginning, there was constant fighting. But equal status contact, right? Playing alongside somebody. 2, winning. We're going to win together, and we have to work with each other to do this. Okay, works out. Their prejudice in the sports, or at least the band, was reduced rather than the rest of the school, who kept segregated. Famous study done that's called the Sharif Camp Experiments. Your book mentions this just a little bit. Famous study, Sharif Camp Experiments. One of these experiments they don't do anymore because they hurt the children. But here we go. They had, and by the way, this study was done many different ways. They had 2 summer camps set up. And I forget the name of them. Let's call them the Tigers and the Sharks. Okay? And there were 2 residential summer camps. And there was a lake in the middle. Okay? And there were the Tigers on this side of the lake and the Sharks on the other side of the lake. So what they told the children when they came to camp was that at the end of the summer, we have an athletic competition with the Sharks who are across the way, or the Tigers who are across the way. And let me tell you about those kids over there. Those Sharks are the most violent, upsetting groups of kids you ever want to see. They're filthy, they're dirty, they cheat. Last year when we played against them, they tried to cheat, they provoked fights. If we went over that camp right now, I mean, their food is horrible, they're filthy bunch of kids, they're just horrible. Their language is horrible, everything about them is horrible. So the Tigers counselors said that about the Sharks said that about the Tigers. Okay? And they did this for weeks with these kids. They kept pounding into them about how horrible the other group was. Boom! Here comes the day where we're going to go have this big sporting event. Let's show up. We're going to do volleyball. We're going to do soccer. We're going to do baseball. We're going to do all kinds of different events. How long do you think that event lasted? Well, all of about 10 minutes. Because there are massive fights, and you're a shark, and you're a filthy pig. No, you're the filthy pig. Look at you. Look at you. You got a filthy uniform on. By the way, they weren't filthy, but everybody thought they were. Why? Because they were prejudiced about them. You people cheat. No, we don't. You cheat. By the way, these were like 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. All right. So then what they did, they said, all right, we can't do this anymore. We're going to get it, because it was on a neutral site. We need to bring everybody back to our respective camps. Get back on your respective buses, and we're going to go. And the bus goes along. This is where the experiment begins. The bus goes along, and both buses break down. Make believe, right? The kids didn't know this. They break down. And it's in this heavily wooded area that's there. So the counselors go out, and they go up in the hoods, and they look at the hoods, and they come back to the kids on the bus, and they say, I know we hate the Sharks. I know we hate the Tigers, but both buses broke down, and the only way we can get everybody... What was that? What? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, before I announce to you what they just told me, let me at least tell you that the only way we can get back is if we work together. And what happened is that this bus is not working anymore, but this one might. It just has a water problem. It's leaking water from the radiator. So we need to be able to get enough water from the stream down there. And we have enough buckets. If we form a bucket brigade and we do tiger, shark, we can get enough water up to fill up, okay, the radiator and have extra water to get us back. But I need to tell you something, what they just told me. We never told you kids this, but there's a state prison that's about 10 miles from here, and I just got word that they just had a big escape. And there seems to be some murderers out right now, and they seem to be wandering. What? You heard somebody. I'm not sure. Wandering in the woods, but don't be afraid, because we need to go down into the woods, okay, and get this water. So the kids are going like, of course the counselors are out there making noises in the woods and stuff, and the kids are doing this. And you know, a bucket of water, you're going to spill it on the next person. Well, as soon as that happened, it was kind of, you're a shark, you're a pig, look at that, we're going to die because of you kids. And fights went on. So what they wound up doing is talking to the kids, saying, no, calm down. The only way we can get out of this alive, okay, if we work together. We got to do this. And when you're in 4th grade, you're like, okay, I don't want to die. So they're spilling water on each other, but they did it. So they got them back on the bus, and they said, all right, we need to sit 3 to a seat. We're going to have tiger, shark, tiger, shark, tiger, shark. And get in the bus quick, because we need to go. Because the counselors are out there making noises and stuff. They actually had people dressed up as police and going down into the woods looking for these people and stuff. And these kids are like, oh my God. And then the bus ride back, you started hearing the kids say, well, you know what? You're not so bad for a tiger. We thought you people were really dirty, but you're just as dirty as I am. Yeah, well, we really worked together. Good, good, we did this. Next day, they had the sporting event again. Went well. No fights, no arguments, or anything like that. Why? Equal status contact, superordinate goals, mutual independence. Boy, isn't it easy to cure prejudice? No, it's not, right? Absolutely not. But it's an interesting concept to say that if we had this in this country, then maybe we could do this. But we don't talk to each other, so. Are you ready? I want to give you a couple of questions for 1 point. We are now doing the last review of the last chapter. Yay! I know you're looking at the clock going, oh good, we're going to get out early. Probably not. Okay, so I promised you that the first day of class. I said, you're going to get your money's worth here. We're going to stay until the end. For 1 point, which of the following factors tend to reduce prejudice and stereotyping? Easy question, isn't it? I know you're a guest today, but you know the answer to this one, right? Is it psycholocation, group conformity, mutual interdependence, or group sanctions? What do we have, about 55 people today? All right, got your answers in? I just did this, right? This slide has been up there for 10 minutes. Everybody got this answer? Once, twice? 61, ready? All right. Yay, 85% of you are right. Group conformity, no. That group conformity would be, that increases prejudice, right? Because everybody thinks the same way. So it would be mutual interdependence. Ready for another one? Another point? Racking them up today. Studies of conformity indicate that people are more apt to be influenced by others if they what? Now, this wasn't today. This was the other day I talked about conformity. But this is more of a higher order thinking question. Be influenced if they are concerned about the approval of others, have low needs for certainty and structure, are in temporary rather than established groups, are in very large groups. What would be the answer to that one? I'll do it in a second. I appreciate that. Don't want to interrupt people's thinking powers. They're concentrating. I don't think you're going to look this up in your notes. This is just something you need to think about in terms of what was the group conformity studies, and then kind of project and think about what the answer may be. You can talk with other people about it. It's all right. Those of you who read the chapter already, this is part of the chapter. Okay, we got that. Let's, last 8 of you, get your votes in there, or your selections. Everybody do it? 61, there we are. All right, so 64% of you say A, and A is correct, right? Are concerned about the approval of others. I'm going to conform more if I'm worried about, okay, what you're thinking of me, right? I'm going to conform more if I give you that power over me and say I'm concerned. Want to do one more? One more point? Well, you're going to have a lot of questions for your test, right? This one I did not cover, and I put this on there purposely because this is for you, those of you who read the chapter already. This is right out of the chapter. The unwillingness of strangers to offer help during emergencies is called what? Now, some of you may figure this out just through vocabulary. Complementary need theory, bystander apathy, gain-loss theory, or social comparison theory? What do you think the answer may be? Just think it through and use your vocabulary. The unwillingness of strangers to offer help during an emergency is called what? Then I'm going to do just a quick 2-minute lecture about this question. Because this is an interesting social psych study as well. He's probably right 100%, 99% of the time. Though.
Yeah, the one time he's not.
The one time he's not, you listen to him. Okay, we got this? If you don't know, just guess. You can make an intelligent guess if you listen to my hint. Ready? Where's 61? Come on, 4 more people. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Can't keep waiting. 62% is correct, right. Bystander apathy, right. Let me tell you about this study. This was based on the Kitty Genovese murder that happened to her. She was a young woman coming back late at night on a Saturday night in New York City. Someone grabbed her, tried to steal her purse. She wouldn't give her the purse. She kicked the guy, ran ahead, started screaming for help. It was a summer evening. New York City doesn't have a lot of air conditioners, which meant the windows were open. She started screaming. The assailant grabbed her again, tried to grab her purse. She wouldn't let him have it. She punched him, got away again. Pulled out a knife, stabbed her. She screamed. She got away, stabbed her again, eventually kills her. Okay? Right in the street. Next day, what happened? The police came through, and they said, were there any witnesses? They went door to door asking. A majority of the people heard her screaming. No one called the police. A majority of the people heard her screaming, and no one called the police. This is called bystander apathy. The country very quickly said, New Yorkers, they don't care about anybody. Okay? A group of researchers said, I don't think so. And they went and did this. They recreated this stuff throughout the different areas in the city and rural areas and on and on. And what they found, it happens a lot. And part of the answer to this is the greater the number of people, the less people are going to get involved, because people, one, think, I don't want to get involved, and two, they think, oh, someone else will help them. Somebody else will call. If you're driving on LBJ and your car breaks down, good luck. Probably no one will stop and help you or even call. If you break down on a country farm-to-market road, somebody will probably stop for you. Why? Because they're better people? No, because there are thousands of people that go by you in LBJ, but only 1 or 2 out there. Bystander apathy. The greater the number of people, okay, the less people get involved. All right? So now, let me do this next. Hold on, before I give this out. We're not done yet. Now, whoops. Okay, so at the beginning of the semester I said to you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about expectations with you. Because when you start a relationship, us being together for 15 weeks, okay, you got to talk about expectations. How do you want to be treated? What do I expect of you? And on and on. Well, at the end of a relationship, if it's, we're ending a relationship, we have to. But if you are ever in a relationship and you have to end it, you need to get what's called closure. Okay? And sometimes to get over a relationship that was really great and wonderful, but it kind of didn't work out or it just ended, sometimes you need to talk about what the good was. If you ever lose somebody in your life through death, let's say, sometimes you can remember them and get through, okay, the bereavement process by saying things like, remember when? Okay? Remember when. So, summary of key points during the semester. Remember when Chapter 1. Okay, wondered. Remember the first thing we did? I asked you what you wondered about. Met the people sitting next to you. Hopefully you still talk to them. Okay. Introduced biopsychosocial. Okay. Chapter 2, neurochemicals, brain organization, hormones. Okay. Chapter 3, we talked about, okay, are you sensual? And we did that. Remember I did this? Come on back. Still with me? Okay. We all perceive the world, what, differently? We talked about that. We talked about illusions. Remember when you saw pictures up there and stuff that were there? We talked about ESP. Chapter 5, we did all of these. Chapter 6, we did this. Bad relationships. Remember that one? Conditioned bad relations. 7, we talked about this. Chapter 9, we talked about this. Chapter 10, what type of fruit are you, really? Huh? We did this. Remember, we did the relaxation response? And one of the things I said to you was, relax. See it. Feel it. Believe it. Now it sounds ridiculous, but while we were doing it, the timing was there. And we did this. All right, now we're getting into the last couple of weeks. We did all that. We did this. All right. We did that. Weeks, okay? It went very quick for me. Now, I just stand up here and talk. I know that, okay? But I enjoyed the energy you gave me during the semester. Because what I do is I stand here and go on and on and on. And what I look for is friendly eyes or bright eyes. And as I look around at all those bright eyes and people who smile and go, that's called conditioning, right, as I go through this. So I do appreciate you. There are all of you sitting here, with the exception of a few of you, okay, have been here just about every single class, okay? So I appreciate that. I appreciate you not talking to each other during class. I appreciate you paying attention to me. I appreciate you listening to my jokes and laughing at some of them as well. Okay? Most of all, I appreciate the work that you did in here. And I hope, okay, that you're going to take away from this class, okay, not only the theories, but what you can apply in your life. Beginning of the semester, I said, well, you know, we can look around in this class. People in the front will probably be here. The people on the side probably won't be here. The people in the back, there probably won't be anybody there. But I still got my guys in the back row. Thank you, guys, for busting that little correlational study that's there. Okay? So, that's it. We're done. Thank you very much for being here for 15 weeks. Hey! Do your attendance.